Hey everybody, Texas Stroker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Mopars.com. A little later in the night, it's dipped down below 90. It's almost 11 p.m., so I guess it should. I created this, the last video, our Koken haul. We went through, and well, of course, we had some other things, but I thought, man, I kind of need like a cool thumbnail for that, and this is what I went with. Quarter, 3/8 and a half, we've got the Universal, the Z-Series U-joint, and then we've got the double universal, as well as some select adapters here. I think I might be missing some. I think they were out of stock too. I forgot to order them on the subsequent order, which is what we're going to take a look at now. So we'll set that down for some sweet eye candy in the background. Once again, everything you see here I'm going to have timestamps for. I'll have links. I don't make jack off the links. I don't get anything if you go and buy everything from Koken or DRPD or anything. Literally only there for your convenience. So with that said, I want to come in and I'm going to try to make this one quick because I think I got like 28 minutes on the card, and for the battery light fans we're at 2 bars, which is concerning. But these are not new, these are old. These have been with me for a very long time, and what they are is basically spinner handles from Koken, but they feature the wobble fix. You can get these with or without the wobble fix. My thoughts: why would you get them without the wobble fix? It's fantastic. So this is quarter drive, 220 is length. This is 3/8 drive, 230 is length. My thoughts when I bought these was to pair them with the nut grips. That's what I've done. I've also used them with standard sockets, and they have been fantastic. Now I realize I did not grab my price sheets over here, which is bad. So what I want to try to do real quick is tell you that we spent about $22. These were from the Father's Day sale. And where is that bag? Right here. Oh boy, everything's falling off to the side. It's okay. Right here, this should look familiar because of what you see there. But what I did, I've got this guy right here, and if you think, oh man, look at that. That's okay. You know, I live in a dusty area. And, so I don't know, I think the camera's showing that. Oh, there's the battery light, dadgum. So this is like way darker of a plastic handle, right? The rubber. And I think what it is it's just not been handled by yours truly. So I think the camera shows it, like in person it's even more egregious. This is almost like a brownish hinge to it. So this is the same thing, it's just new. So that is a quarter drive wobble fix spinner handle from even like this area. I guess just because I haven't touched it, you know, with dirty hands and stuff. So it's cool seeing the contrast there. This guy is $10.65 on the sale. That is a stupid good deal. At that price, everyone in the world should have this in your toolbox. Now up next, I decided to spice it up and do something different, and I bought part number 3769 NWF 160. It is a 3/8 drive spinner handle, and if I put it here, you can see it's the same thing. You're like, whoa, hey, that's pretty clean compared to that. I did 160, and I kind of regret that. You got pros and cons. Number one, I was thinking of like torque, you know, and having it close quarters versus that. This is going to work. I plan to take this to work with me. I kind of wonder if I won't just leave it here as a complement to the 230 and then buy a 230 to take to work. It could go either way. I'm sure whichever one I have will be wrong, but this I thought, you know, sometimes on like when I take a motor apart, I'm talking electric, not like race car stuff here. Well, yeah, never mind. Anyway, so on an electric motor, you got your junction box, right? And sometimes those screws are seized or rusted out all the way, and you have to come in. And I thought, you know, it might be nice to have something close quarters here. Same thing on like fan covers. If you come in and you've got like 4 screws on the perimeter, that's sort of what I had in mind here. So, you know, it is what it is. I'll set that there. I'll get these two out of the way. Set them to the side, but yeah, these are both brand new. Again, such a good buy on sale considering that one was $10.65. This one $12.64. So pick your poison there, but that's kind of the difference. 160 versus 230. That's 70 millimeters difference, and it is a considerable difference. And, yeah, I don't know. I'll try it. Maybe I'll just take both to work with me as I intended. But you kind of see you've got options if you're like, I would not want anything that long. That's ridiculous. Or if you're thinking like, whoa, that's way longer than mine. That would be perfect for this area where I'm still short and I physically You got like a glove box area, and you physically stop here, but you can sneak that shaft through. The longer the better. In other situations, the shorter the better. So it's what it is. I like those things so well, we might add more of them, and they're reasonably priced. So that was a win. That was something I just threw over here to make this video a little longer. And I told you, the Father's Day sale, I brought in some things I was going to tie in. One of those things is right here, and I've got to try to find it on this little sheet. No, did it make it to page 2? I don't think it did. Alright, so this one is part number 3756Z. On the sale price, it set me back $14.31. You can kind of see it come into frame here, and if you're thinking like, what is that, some sort of a specialty socket? No, this is, you think, oh, some weird adapter hand turn thing? It's a quick spinner, and I am stupid excited about it. Theirs have this really nice like thumb wheel effect. This is all ribbed on the end. I'll give you a better look at this next item, because you might have guessed it's the same thing in 1/2-inch drive. And, it's going to be part number 4756Z. I should mention that is the Z-Series spinner. Okay, so this is also the Z-Series spinner. There are standards and there are Z-Series. I went ahead and rolled the dice on the Z-Series. So let me set this paperwork down. Hopefully the battery lasts. And boom. This is pretty glorious to look at, I'm not gonna lie. So there's your square sides, you got the ball detent. This gives you a really good look at the thumb wheel, and potato dust under my thumbnail. Right there you can see Koken 4756Z, made in Japan. Now I've told you in the last video, I still have not bought a Koken ratchet, or 1/2-inch drive ratchet, obviously. So what I'm gonna do is take old trusty here, the Hazet 916 HP, also filthy, and this should be an interesting pairing. Like, it's a pretty fine, Koken's so unique on the back drag, but I'm not sure how often I'll use the spinner on a 1/2-inch drive, but I thought, you know what, that was like the Koken accessory video, and I thought to myself, I'm gonna give it a go. I'm gonna see if I like that. The reason that I purchased this, and this guy here being the main inspiration, which we will throw onto a Koken ratchet, these spinners are like a dream with ratchets like the Koken, where they're so fine-toothed and the back drag is just perfect, and you can come in and literally spin these by hand just to get something started, even sometimes in tight quarters. And what kind of made me pull the trigger is this, my Nepros ratchet, the blue one, the blue ion plating. I love it. I used to use it only on the Challenger, and then I got to the point where I was like, I'm afraid I'm going to ruin it. Like, I'm going to chip it. They don't make it. I can't get it replaced. I regret only one thing there, not getting more of that. That's one of the coolest ratchets ever, just visually. To behold and look at, it's amazing. This is the updated ratchet, which we've covered before. It's super nice. This anvil is, you're like, you haven't used that at all. That anvil is like mint condition. There's a reason for that, and it's because this has been on the entire life of this ratchet. And just as I told you, I would use the quarter drive Kokens that we brought in all the time. I told you, like, I'm actually going to use this ratchet. It's great. I want to use it, unlike the blue ion, which was limited use. This is what I use, the spinner, and what I love about this one is it's got the rubber ring, and as you can see, it's kind of the same stylistic design, almost like a top of a, bottle cap, if you will, but it's a soft rubber, and that works really well just to articulate it. Again, this is very akin to the Koken, but I use this has been on it ever since I brought this ratchet in. And that entire time, it has stayed on, and I've used it, and I got so accustomed to it, that's why I was like, I need to get one of those for the Koken, and so I did. And like I said, this will eventually, hopefully, wind up on a 1/2-inch drive Koken Flex, which doesn't exist at this point in time, but it's not quite as easy of a thing to articulate on the Hazet, but loved it so much there, we brought those in. It's a win. Those were on the Father's Day sale. Now, what was not on the Father's Day sale is, if I can find it, this one, part number 2756Z. And if you're like, well, what's that? Is it going to be quarter? That's 100% correct. And if you think like, well, dude, why didn't you buy that on the Father's Day sale? Well, we paid $18.12. I think this was a sale. I don't remember what one. I think the July 4th sale is where this would have come from. Looks like I received it on the 14th. 2756Z. Here she is in the palm of my hand. Again, obviously the Z-Series Spinner. Price point on this one, $18.12. Now, obviously, we can come in over here, and I've been excited to do this. I have not done it. I wanted to. Oh, yes. This is going to be a very nice pairing. I might need to buy another one of these, actually. But, yeah, that's the reason this was not ordered on the Father's Day sale. This was out of stock. So I was like, well, I'm not going to hold the order up any. So I just waited, and then on the July 4th sale, it was back in stock, and it is now here with us, and I could not be happier. So those three kind of tie in with the Koken accessories. It's just like I said, trying to divide and conquer, make, you know, entertaining videos across the board for you. And speaking of that, we've got these. You think, what are those? Well, these are my most used wobble fixes. And you think, huh, didn't you like go out and buy that blue foamed one, you know? And the answer is yes. And if you're thinking like, well, why are these loose? Well, these were the early wobble fixes before that set existed. That set is intact. It's in a toolbox over there by the door. These are in the roll cart. I'm not concerned about foam there. In fact, I don't want the foam. It takes up too much space. These sit in an Ernst 3-compartment tray. Okay. And they're amazing. If I come in right here and I grab my handy dandy 12-point semi-deeps, we'll just pick the 9/16 because I use it all the time. If you're not familiar with the wobble fix, there's two things that happen, okay? This right here, the fix is in. It's locked. This is like a standard extension. This is on there. And if you want it off, you take it off. But there is a step, there is a trick. If we articulate this ever so lightly, okay, which is hard to do through the camera, I now have a wobble extension. Instead of me having to buy a fixed extension in these 3 links and a wobble extension in these 3 links and have 6 extensions, I have 3 extensions because this does both functions, fixed and wobble. The only thing that's negative, and I mentioned this, and I continue to have it happen, so I assume it's like a real thing, especially with nut grip, that is forgivable, it makes sense. I get in some tight situations, and sometimes like the sockets grip so good, or I'm in like an obstruction, I'll sometimes just rip out. And that's the one downside. Now that happens with all extensions, but especially with something that's a wobble, you're just more inclined to do that. Now, what's the solution if you have something you love, but you need it to lock? In this situation, let's say I'm constantly having the socket rip off. What is the answer? Well, the answer, if I can find where I put it, is somewhere. What on earth did I do with it? It was here. I promise it was. I don't know what I did with it. Oh, I do. I stood it up. It's not laying down, so I couldn't find it. Koken part number 3706LZ125. What's the 125? It's the length. And if you think, is that like 5 inches? Yes, it is. So I've got to warn you, this is a spendy item. In fact, this is by far the most expensive item that we got. Actually, it's slightly cheaper sale price than that big double universal joint. This thing on sale was $38.75. All right. So what is it? You think like the wobble fix should be the most expensive extension, right? No, it is this extension that is the most expensive. And you think, well, what's the deal? It looks really nice. I mean, branding is good. The finish looks immaculate. What's the deal? This is the deal. And you're like, oh, what's that? That's strange. Check it out. We're going to come in. I'll grab the half. I'm going to shove this thing on, but I can't. What's the deal? You're too weak. You need to go inside and eat some SpaghettiOs, young man. Get some Gatorade. You're dying. No. Watch this. I pull back, and it's on. You think, oh, well, why would you pay money for that? You know, what's wrong with just putting it on normal like the wobble fix? This is what's wrong. Now I'm too weak to get it off. It'll never come off. This is stuck. It's seized. It's forever a half-inch extension now, right? No. We pull down and we come off. Why? What's the catch? This is a locking extension. This is brand new. Well, not anymore brand new, but at the time it was like really, really new. So a couple months. And I was like, man, that's really nice. I loved how slim. Usually when you get into locking extensions, one of two things happen. They look like a regular extension with some weird fat huge thing down here that doesn't do a good job of holding the socket, or they do a really good job of holding the socket, but it's like you just added 12 pounds to the front of your ratchet. Okay, this one was slim and silhouette and looked good. And what I did, there were 3 of these available, and I chose the 125. The reason for that, it was the middle one. And I thought, well, I'm going to go to town that way. Plus, it paired in nicely with this, which is probably my most used extension, sort of the hybrid in the middle of those 3 as well. There are, as I mentioned though, other locking extensions. In fact, if we come in here, and I showed it to you earlier, this guy right here we used for a size comparison, the 75mm wobble fix. Well, Koken seems to like 75mm. And if I drop down this bag, part number 3706LZ-75. What on earth could that be? Could it be a locking extension that's 75mm? It sure could. The price on this guy, MSRP, is I think $41.40. I believe I actually stuck to my form there and wrote that down. So what I want to do is grab the 75 versus this one, and side by side here you will see this is the, again, wobble fix with the knurling and the finger slots. This one much more silhouette. It's like those Z-Series universal joints. But then you come up here and you do have a bit of bulk. Now the socket for all but the smallest 3, like if you're at, I don't know, 5/16 and up, I don't think this will be an issue much. Smaller, maybe it hits an obstruction, you know, or you're like, oh geez, I wish that collar was a little trimmer. This is about as trim as it's going to get for a collar on a locking extension. Outside of the design, that's a push button. Okay, you got to keep that in mind. If this is like too fat for your application, but you love it for everything else, there is a solution for locking, and it's the push button. You can find those on several makes. Vera has the funky style. Stavilla's is much user-friendly, in my opinion, than the Vera. But for everything except the most finite clearance confinements, this is pretty sweet. Okay. And, you can see there the difference. It also highlights how good the sales are, because if this is 44 and I just told you that this longer one, much longer one, I picked up for 38, yeah, that is a win there, right? So you're thinking like, okay, well, you got 75, you got the 125, they must have a longer one, right? Oh, they totally do. And it came in this bag, part number 3760LZ250. What is 250? It's millimeters. What is that? Well, if the 125 was 5 inches, we can assume 125 doubled is still 250. So what's 5 inch doubled? 10 inches. That's correct. We flip this around, and whammo, there it is, the branding I was looking for. Koken. Sick at sea. Jeez. Okay, 37, just take my word for it. 3760LZ250. This is all the exact same setup. We got a 75, a 125, and a 250. It is going to work awesome. Again, the way these work, can't do anything. Simply slide back, locks. There's not much at all of a gap. You can see the fitment there. It's good. This is a great, fantastic little extension. Let's pair it with our Z-Series spinner. Oh yeah, now I can tell you this is a lot of weight for this flex head. She's taking it like a champ though. I thought that was going to spring out of the detent. So I think maybe, you know, like as you ratchet it you would. But again, this is a good bit of weight and length there with the socket. But dadgum, this is kind of the bee's knees between these 3. You've got locking, okay? You've got fixed, and you've got the wobble. Only thing that would be better is if they somehow figure out a way to make a locking wobble function. Okay, well, could it be done? I think it could be, but it's kind of overkill. I think most people would just assume buy 2 or 3 extensions that are like a fraction of the price of the be-all do-all. But hey, who knows? Maybe if engineers get bored, they'll be like, yeah, let's do it. It'll come to fruition, who knows. But that is it. I managed to at least get us through this before the battery died, so that's good. We still got, I don't know, 10 minutes or so on the card, maybe less than that. But man, this is, between these two hauls, Father's Day and the July 4th sale, this is some sweet stuff. Obviously, we're completing a lot of socket sets, which is a win. Some of this stuff will be going to work. But the spinners, again, you can thank this guy. I never had a Koken spinner, didn't really have a desire to. But when I started using this a lot, I started using this spinner more and more, and I was like, man, you know, I really like that thing. I threw it on the Koken, and I was like, wow. This is something I should have done long ago, and so we pulled the trigger when they were on sale. So if I lived without it, I can wait for a sale, and that's exactly what we did. So yeah, Z-Series Spinners, I think, again, this isn't fresh on my mind because I've had this stuff here for a while, but I want to say their standard spinners aren't that much of a price difference. I could be mistaken. At least against the sale prices anyway. And I think they're a little bulkier, and they might have like a wider, almost more like a gear cog appearance. Don't hold me to that. I've slept a lot. Well, I really haven't, to be honest with you. And we'll chalk it up to that. I haven't slept much since then. I work like, this past week, it was like 14-hour days was the good day, you know, like the time saver day. So yeah, we're pushing like 4.5 months of those kind of hours, but it is what it is. I'd rather be busy than not, you know, unemployed, I suppose. So gives me a little, when I do get free time, I try to enjoy it. So, but yeah, I'm excited to use this stuff. Like I said, the 125 I've used, and I thought, you know what, this is worth it. I'm going to pull the trigger on those two. So that's what we did. We got the 75, the 125, the 250. I'm sure they'll expand that to some other sizes. I'm also thinking they'll probably bring it in maybe half and then quarter, maybe quarter and then half. I'm not sure what stance they would take on that. If it was me, it would be half-inch first, but you know, it seems like everyone on the internet seems to say they use quarter all the time, so maybe that's the route they go based on their sales figures. It's probably what they'll do. Just go with whatever they think would move the most units. But 3/8 is the happy medium, and it works well for me because I use it the most. So that's pretty much it, man. This is a really cool setup over here. We'll go ahead and swing this sucker down here. Conveniently, my pegs that are unused are 3/8 on that, so we'll throw that in. Oh, that's a wobble fix, my bad. Couldn't see over my glove there. And I will tell you, setting this up, some of those Z-Series things were difficult to set on there. These ones here, the cheap one's fine, the double's fine, but this one, a little difficult in quarter and 3/8 to seat. But let's go ahead now. We're going to rip that off the wobble fix. Can't rip this one off. Again, it's that easy. Let's take a look at that mechanism before we go. If the camera shuts off, I apologize. LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can find us Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. Haven't been on Instagram in like 2.5, 3 months. Just like, I don't get time. I actually work. I'm not one of those people that like gets on there during the day. This is something I do like after I shower at night, as I like pace around and get steps before midnight to tick people off. And, yeah, that's the story, and I'm sticking to it, man. So it's one of those things. It's something I'll do when I have time, and I have not had time, and I don't really care to make time for that stuff. I try to prioritize YouTube. The only thing I really miss on there is just seeing like cool stuff other people bought. And some companies are terrible. They don't send out like emails, and some of them like don't even update their website, but they'll have really good sales that they post on social media only. So I'm probably missing some cool stuff there, new products. But past that, man, I still, you know, coming of age with MySpace, which was still the best social media site. Everyone ruined it. But, Instagram to me was always like, you know, teenage girls and fashion, and I guess it still kind of is, but it has more people, so there's cooler things like cars and tools now. So yeah, YouTube is where I will always concentrate the main efforts, and it's just sad because a lot of people don't come in and be like, oh, he's got a new video out. They just, no, he hadn't posted anything, must be dead or quit doing this stuff. And it's like, no, I'm still here, I just don't have time to post that. So anyway, plus if I got on there to post my own stuff, I'd feel like I had to like interact with everything else and, you know, like respond to like the litany of tons and tons of messages, and time, man, you know, when you get like 4 hours of sleep on a really good night, you kind of have to just sometimes go to bed, right, instead of getting 3 hours of sleep and see what's happening. So All that aside, though, we're still rolling. The battery hadn't died, which I figured it would. Z-Series Spinners, they look like they're going to be nice. We need some seat time to feel how we like them. I've gotten so accustomed to this fat rubber ring, it's just super comfortable. I would typically like gravitate towards something like this. We'll have to see. Those ridges, like, they're not grabbing me. You know how light the back drag is on a Koken, and like I have to really bear down to articulate that. Whereas with this Nepros one, the rubber ring, it just kind of provides that extra friction, and it's not abrasive. It doesn't feel harsh to me or anything. So yeah, super good stuff. Off to work I go with these. I'll see how I like that one. Might come back here and get a longer one. That's just cool for the backdrop. We've got the locking extensions. Again, this really needs to be with a Koken ratchet, but it does work there. I mean, this is actually really fine if we had a socket on there, but it is what it is, you know. So let me know if you're a spinner person, what is your favorite spinner and why? Have you used the Z-Series Spinners? If you have used Koken Z-Series Spinners, good chance you might use their standard ones. Which one do you prefer and why? Also, if you're stocking up on both sizes of Koken Spinners, I can assume you're into Japanese tools or exotic stuff. You very well may have one from Nepros. If you do, which brand do you like better and why? So before I pass judgment, I will use these. Right now, I'm kind of still digging that rubber one. It's, you know, something about that one is just really, really nice. But yeah, locking extensions, that was the big highlight here. They're available, 3 sizes there. Again, they'll probably do some cool stuff in the future, maybe sets, plastic trays, foams, that sort of a thing. Sizes being added, expansion to other drive sizes. I wanted to test them. I was happy with them. If you look into really good ones, they start costing a ton of money. I feel like these are pretty dadgum good, and they're expensive, yes, but not like near the crazy side of the scale. So other thing that worries me, I think this is going to time out. So once again, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned a little something. Sorry the back end was a train wreck, but if you have not subscribed, I encourage you to do so. LoneStarMopars.com is the website. Again, if you do subscribe, you jump your charger across the creek, you equip yourself with a Koken Z-Series spinner in one hand, standard spinner in the other, and a Koken ratchet between your teeth. YouTube just might notify you that we got new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. With that said, thanks so much for watching. Most important thing, though, is I hope I catch you back here for more action from the shop.